The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Rugby Preview. Robin Purdy joining me as usual, and with the 15th season now over, we concentrate on the Sevens. Just 2 more rounds of the Kings of the Sevens to go, and this Saturday the circus moves on to Selkirk, more of which in a moment. But let's look back on last weekend, and we'll start with the Premiership playoff final between Hawick and Curry, which was won by Curry, who are now crowned Premiership champions. Well, Robin, you were there, another well-attended match, and at the end of the day, that long winning streak at home for Hawick has disappeared. It's the end of an era for the Greens as well, and not the way they wanted to end their 150th anniversary.
No, Stuart, clearly it's not. They were going for a brilliant treble after securing the Scottish Cup and the Border League, of course. But yeah, it was another real ding dong. It was a tick in the box for those that like playoffs. It was a well attended event. It was a really, really good game between 2 top teams. To my untrained eye, it just looked a game too far for Hawick. It looked like a team who had a really tough game the week before against a team that came in with 3 weeks of a break and been able to prepare and all that kind of. And Curry really, really went after Hawick from the get-go. All credit to Curry. I thought they were absolutely superb from 1 to 22 on Saturday there. And yeah, Hawick just came up just that wee bit short when it mattered. But like I say, let's take nothing away at all from Hawick. It's kind of understandable. They've had a tough shift of it recently, and Curry looked fresh as a daisy.
And we did talk about that, is it a one game too far? Because they put in such a shift. So did Embrackis, of course, the week before. But then Hawick had to go on and reboot, basically, and start again from scratch. And that's never easy. No,
I don't think it will be, Stuart. And like I say, preparation. And Curry will have been putting everything into this for, since they lost at Mansfield in the Cup semi-final. They've been able to channel all their energies into it. They've been able to get boys fresh. They had that every single player available to them, as far as I could see, really strong on the bench. But they hit their straps from the get-go. They scored really early. Hawick chasing their tail a wee bit, and the sending off just before half time didn't really impact on Curry at all. If anything, it galvanised them even further from the highly galvanised position they were already in. They became super galvanised, and they scored almost straight after half time when everybody was thinking, well, that's it, half time, game over. Hawick will come out absolutely cock a hoop and blow these 14 men away, and the polar opposite happened early in the second half. And I think Hawick were just under the 8 ball from that point, and they just couldn't quite recover from that as manfully as they tried. Hawick looked well prepared and they looked well up for it. They just met a team that on the day was just performed a couple of % better on the day.
You spoke to them both after the game. DJ Innes in a second from Curry, and first, I'm sure Sean, you won't want to hear this again, but here it is, the after-match interview.
Sean, commiserations. First of all, that's a tough one to take.
Lost for words a wee bit emotional at the end. It was tough to dissect. It was, mate, if I'm honest, I think it's probably the worst we've played for a couple of seasons at the wrong time. It'll take a few days to go over that, but look, it's sport. It's not just all about how we win, it's how we lose as well. So look, we'll congratulate Curry. They were the better team. They've worked hard for that. They've probably been unlucky in a couple of finals, so fair play to them. Wish them all the best and enjoy the celebrations.
And I'm guessing it'll be too early to put your finger on just what went wrong today, potentially.
Look at a lot of things. If I'm honest, we started slow again, just about clawed it back. I thought we had it near the end, but probably just a step too far. It's been a long season, a demanding season, off the back of a 10-11 month season last year. Look, I'm not going to make any excuses. It's like I say, it's how we lose, and Curry were the better team. That's the end of the day.
And do you think at all, Sean, obviously Curry had the red card just before half time, might that even have been more of a hindrance than a help in some ways?
A little bit. Sometimes when a team goes a man down, it galvanises them, like you seen with us last year. It's probably a bit of karma for the luck we had last year, but look, we said all the right things at half time, and we thought we were in control at that point, but them scoring straight after half time was a pivotal point. It kind of gave them a little buffer, but like I say, I backed us the whole way. We got a bit panicky. Those things in that game, that's not us. like I said, it's tough to look back on it, but just bitterly disappointed.
You must still be immensely proud of this, this group of men for, everything that's been achieved in the last couple of seasons.
Massively. I love playing with that group. I love every single one of them. It's been an honour being in that group. What happens going forward, I don't know. I have to dissect a lot, but it's probably the last game for us as a group. There's a few boys moving on. I have to make a few decisions, if I'm honest. I don't know, but look, it's too early to say. But I'm massively delighted to have led the boys, and the club means a lot to us, the jersey means a lot to us, and that group does. And like I say, I'm massively proud to be part of it. As
you should be, Sean. Absolute credit to the jersey, credit to the club. We're going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Roy. Thank you.
A happier man is just about to join us. That is DJ Innes, a hugely influential figure. Congratulations, first of all. You boys look bang up for that today, right from the get-go.
Well, we had 2 weeks to prepare since we were last here. Unfortunately, that did not go very well for us, but we've put the effort in and we believed that we could do it today, and it's shown. I mean, it was tough because obviously the red card, which I'm sure you'll touch on, but no, I can't describe the feeling to finally get over the line.
Yeah, you mentioned it, the red card just before half time. You were in the ascendancy for a lot of the first half, and then that, some might say it's a debatable incident, but you must have felt like your world had just come crashing down.
It just seemed like the same old thing that keeps happening. We do so well, we get ahead, we've got not a comfortable lead, but we've got a good lead, and then we shoot ourselves in the foot. So thankfully it didn't prove to be costly, but it certainly would have been a lot easier with 15 on the pitch.
And but obviously you came out for the second half. It looked like you were man possessed. It didn't look like you were missing a man for a lot of that second half.
No, the chat inside at half time was, look, we just need to work even harder for each other. I think to get today was all about just working for everybody in that room and putting the effort in, and we did that today. So hugely, immensely proud of the boys.
Yeah, I was going to say about the effort. I mean, like I say, right from the get-go, but in the second half in particular, boys really, really putting their body on the line, yourself included.
I think I've actually wrote in my hand effort just to remind myself to always just 100%. It's the last game of the season, biggest game of the year, and yeah, just everybody had 100% effort today, and I can't fault anybody.
And the monkey is off the back. The last 2 years hard take. You undoubtedly, probably, I would imagine, felt a bit of pressure coming into this today, but yeah, that monkey is off the back. Explain to us what it means.
Well, third time's the charm, isn't it? But getting so close. I mean, the first year I was at Curry 2 years ago, we probably thought we'd probably underestimated Mara, to be honest with you. They played well on the day. Last year I thought we played really well and probably could have won it ourselves, but unfortunately Hoyt beat us, and fair play to them because they probably deserved it over the course of the year. But today, I mean, it just sort of came together for a change, and it was fantastic.
Well, DJ Innes, like Sean before him, a credit to his club. Thank you very much for joining us, and huge congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Very emotional Sean Muir, and a very happy DJ Innes, of course. Sport can be very cruel. We're hearing Sean afterwards, obviously, at that moment, things very, very raw for him, very emotional. And at the time, I suppose he'd be thinking, right, that's it for me. I'm packing in, and you wouldn't blame him. But after, a day goes by, then another day and another day, you have to put it behind you and then really start thinking about the future.
Oh, definitely. Sean, as always, he was incredibly classy. The guy drips class from every pore. It was a very tough interview to conduct. All credit to him for stepping up. He was emotional. He nearly set me off as well. I'm not too ashamed to admit.
And us as well, and we were at Kelso listening.
Yeah, it was it was tough, but that's the mark of the man. And DJ Innes as well. What a class performer! What a rugby player he is, first and foremost. But spoke brilliantly, magnanimous in victory. Just a great moment for him and his teammates. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at Hawick now, but what happens at other clubs as well, with some of what might be considered the elder statesmen in some of the teams, that have been round the block and have done a great shift. The landscape is different from next season. Now, there might be players in that Hawick team that have played for Hawick for countless years that see what it's going to look like next season. They might be in their 30s and they hear on the grapevine the air who look like they're going to romp the Super Series sprint, possibly with cricket scores, and the year that 18 or 19 boys have re-signed for next season. And you might look at that and go, do you know what, I don't fancy that. I don't fancy that. I'm going to go play at another club a division below, because like I say, the landscape's changing, or they might say, right, I'm going to have another crack at that, or I really want a crack at it, because it will Hoyk or Curry be considered favourites for the league title next season? They won't. Let's be honest about it, because of who are dropping in. So yeah, the landscape might change, and both of those teams might have different looks about them next season. Recruitment will be obviously a factor. Some boys, like I say, might not fancy a crack at what is essentially semi-pro rugby again, and Curry are a club that might actually do okay out of this as well, because if they do lose a few boys, they'll probably pick up a few boys given where they are geographically, and they're well connected coaches. If there's guys that aren't able to play every week for Heriots or Watsonians or Boroughmuir Bears or whoever, then Curry might be beneficiaries of that. So it could look very differently come next season, and that could play on the minds of some of the players now, the Sean Muirs, whoever that might be thinking, well, what am I going to do next season?
Interesting as well, because when it comes to the finances in Super 6 as it was then, the money was capped, wasn't it? But in the Premiership, because I've spoken, and you've spoken to players as well, who have said, well, one of the reasons we haven't gone to Super 6 is because we actually earn more in the Premiership. And that could happen.
Possibly. Possibly the clubs with the deepest pockets, and that applies to any league of any sport anywhere in the world. The clubs with the deepest pockets tend to prevail. So yeah, that will be a factor as well. But it's where does the money come from some of the clubs? I mean, you look at Ayr, for example. In Scottish rugby at the moment, for me, Ayr are the benchmark. Ayr is where everybody else needs to get to, both on the field and probably off it. You look at the front of their jersey, and emblazoned across the front is Albert Bartlett. I mean, that's a big old sponsor, and that's not the only sponsor by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, they'll be well funded, and good luck to them. That's what they've built over the years, and it just will remain to be seen. But there could be players for the Hoyks, for the Kelsos, for the Selkirks, if we're looking at it regionally down here, that say, you know what, I don't fancy Blair McPherson. I don't fancy Blair McPherson running up me headlong next season. To be honest, I'm going to weigh up my options.
And of course, I mean, we're in a professional era. We've been in the professional era all this century, and a few more years before that. And it's not just about professionalism on the pitch; it's professionalism off the pitch as well. It's getting a team together who can go out and get sponsors and drive the clubs.
It starts from the top and it comes down, with the right people, with the right amount of business acumen at the top and the right amount of contacts. You get the sponsors, and with the sponsors comes the money, and with the money comes the players, and with the players comes success, and with success you're back to the top of the loop. You've got more sponsors wanting on, and the sponsors are already there now need to pay a bit more top dollar, and it's almost to quote Simon Jordan, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and success breeds success breeds success.
Well, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what does happen. Of course, it's around about June time when we're going to know about fixtures. We're going to start hearing very strong rumours about certain players going to be turning out in different colours than the previous season, etc., etc. So there's a lot that we don't know about, and there's a lot that we do know about, but it's all going to be very, very interesting.
Oh well, it's going to be a good summer in some regard. In Scottish rugby club media, if you want it, the likes of us, if you want to call us that, or on the offside line especially, there'll be rumour mills all over the place. So it'll make for quite an interesting summer, that's for sure.
OK, let's move on to Sevens then. And last week, Melrose beat Kelso at the Kelso Sevens. The Old Stars won the Earlston Sevens, beating Melrose in the final. It was a great day out and the best team won, but it's certainly blown the K7s wide open. It
has. What for me has blown the K7s wide open more than the Old Stars nicking 3 points off Melrose, and I'll come back to the All Stars in a second, because that was a brilliant success, is the shock of Kelso getting eliminated in the first round of Earlston, having beaten the final of their tournament the previous day, coming to Earlston and getting knocked out by Edinburgh University. Now, Edinburgh University are always got the potential to be slightly dark horses, but that's not what Kelso, leaving empty-handed with nul point is not what Kelso will have intended, and that has, that's given all the momentum to Melrose going into this weekend.
Of course, Edinburgh University, we've seen them do very well in the past in other tournaments at Langham, for instance, but the fact that they then went out rather cheaply in the next round shows that, this wasn't a great Edinburgh University side that knocked Kelso out.
No, it wasn't. Let's not forget with Kelso. Kelso are missing a few guys that I would consider to be absolute nailed-on starters in that seven. Cammy Brown, they're missing him. It was a huge blow to miss or to lose for the season. Young Woodcock, he can run them in from afar. I don't think they had Hamish Tweedy on Sunday there as well, so that they're missing a few, Kelso, and that could be their undoing potentially. But they'll be looking to get back on the horse in what is a difficult looking draw at Selkirk on Saturday.
Melrose, of course, traditionally they love this weekend.
They do. All credit to Melrose. It was one of the things I was going to say in this section about the sevens. Melrose are a credit to the circuit. Now, I've been critical of Melrose this season in the 15s. I've said some of the performances have not been befitting of the jersey, quite frankly. But they are a real shining light on the sevens circuit. Not just how they perform, but how they conduct themselves, how they always send as strong as possible to a tournament, even if they've got a 15s game, and for that they're to be massively commended. And it was only the quality of the All-Stars that deprived them a double winning weekend, and those are just about unheard of nowadays. For them to have won on Saturday and came second, or beaten in the final narrowly on Sunday, is a real credit to them, and they are a force now, and they could pip Kelso to the King's title.
Great effort, of course, from the Old Stars, who included Scott White, Lee Jones, Roddy Grant, Mark Robertson, some other brilliant former Scotland Sevens internationals, and great to see as a spectacle. But will they be back to defend the title, do you think? Because, it's another year away.
Oh, it's a good question. They were an absolute credit to themselves and the tournament. They were let's be honest, they were one of the few highlights of the circuit so far this season. They added massively to what is always a good tournament, and would have been a good tournament anyway, but they really did bring something to it. They played brilliantly. They had some tough matches. It wasn't cricket scores all the way through, and they had to come through against the better teams on show. And yeah, all credit to them. Rocked up at Whitey's, I believe, Sunday morning, bacon and flat sausage rolls, and away you go. They gave it. They treated it with the respect it deserves, and they went away with the spoils at the end of the day.
Quick word about Gala then, because they're in contention.
Yes, Gala, really hard working seven. Another club that are, a credit to the circuit this season. They've had their injury problems as well. Been missing Mitchell at times, and now they're missing young Pate, Callum Pate, who's been brilliant for them. So yeah, they just dug it, and they've got some serious hard workers in there. And as Ben Gill said in his post-tournament interview down at Langham, they know they're not the fastest seven, so they have to make up for it in other ways, and make up for it they do with their work rate and their dog.
Well, we've got a couple of clips to play you now. We're going to hear from Neil Hinnigan, Director of Rugby at Kelso. Obviously, Kelso still top of the table.
Yeah, we're still sitting top, but only just. And yeah, it was a tough weekend last weekend with some players missing and picking up more injuries, and it's really starting to take its toll. But as a squad, there's an opportunity there this week to try and get back on the rails, and try and get some valuable points heading for Jed after. Obviously, we're probably going to be in the mix right till the end. So yeah, we'll need a bit of luck. But one thing we'll need to do is improve a hell of a lot from what we produced at Earlston. The boys kind of let themselves down a little bit there, and they've got to pick themselves back up and try and get back on the horse. We did okay at Kelso Sevens, just sort of narrowly missed out in the final to Melrose, and full credit to Melrose, they played really well, deserved to win. So yeah, it's just often a bounce of the ball or an odd decision. If they don't go your way, then in sevens it's cutthroat. I think it's fairly tight between a lot of the teams this year, so it's really competitive. But we'll have to dust ourselves down and get ourselves ready for Selkirk on Saturday, and I think we play Heriots first tie, and then if we can get through that, we play Melrose, and then potentially Gala, potentially Selkirk. So it'd be a really tough arse to win Selkirk, but you just never know on the day if you can produce some good sevens and everyone's on it, then we wouldn't be far away, I would have thought. So yeah, a lot to do this week to improve, but I'm sure Murray Hasty, who's been doing the sevens coaching with Kevat, will have the guys in a better place than they were on Sunday.
And one of the stars of the sevens for Melrose is Hamish Weir.
We're very keen to kind of close that gap at the top of the Kings of the Sevens, and unfortunately it was just a wee stretch too far for us today. You know, Kelso have been a class act all year, and they're rightfully probably at the top of the table. So it's been nice for us to kind of chase them and see how we get on. But they're certainly kind of where we're aspiring to be, at the top of the table, and hopefully come Jed reclaim that crown that we had from last year. As a club, we take our sevens very seriously. It's something that we're very passionate about. And so we're trying very hard to claim that. But as I say, Kelso top of the pile at the minute, and they're number one, really.
Well, let's have a look at the draw then for the Selkirk Sevens. It kicks off at 2 o'clock. Earlston versus Jed Forest first up. Aberdeen University have withdrawn, so it's now Hawick against the President Seven. Selkirk versus Peebles. Berwick against Boroughmuir. That's the top half. And then a very interesting bottom half. Gala v Curry, Musselburgh v Watsonians, Kelso against Heriots, and Melrose versus Edinburgh Accies. That's the draw, Robin. Your thoughts?
It's lopsided, that's for sure. You know, there's been a bit of chat on social media and whatnot, and
yes, even Fraser Harkness put a little laughing emoji.
A notable name that I've seen. The other thing, it's a great look. It happens a lot. It happens with most teams, most clubs. If indeed it has happened, you know what I'm referring to. But it doesn't give a great look to me, to be honest. If I was a paying punter, going for the rugby rather than the party side of it, then I'm taking a look at that and thinking, right, I'll wait till 2:30, see what the weather's like, then I'll maybe mosey on down for Gala v Curry and go from there. But yeah, getting back to, you know, Selkirk or Jed, cruise through to the final of that one. Selkirk, if they've got all the big guns out, you'd have to fancy them, but Jed's seen them off in the first round at Earlston, of course. Bottom half, tough look about it. Curry, a real unknown quantity. If they come down with the Charlie Bretts and DJ Ennis and Daly and McCaig and these guys, then they could go deep into the tournament. Musselburgh, another unknown. Watsonians, always great supporters, been off it a wee bit this season. Then you've got Kelso and Heriots and Melrose v Edinburgh Accies. Either of those four on their day could be there or thereabouts. So yeah, the teams in the bottom half are going to have it the hard way. Could that be could the ease of the draw be counterproductive for the hosts? It might be, because they get to a semi-final undercooked, while somebody coming from the bottom half is through, or they get to the final even possibly undercooked, and somebody's coming through the bottom half absolutely battle hardened. So it will, as always, remain to be seen. But yeah, it's certainly a draw that looks a bit easier in the top half.
Let's have a look at the table then, with 2 rounds to go. Kelso at the top, 3 wins this season, 1 runner-up, a couple of semi-finals as well, 47 points. But at this stage, about a couple of weeks ago, we would have thought, well, they're not going to be only 5 points ahead of Melrose, but that is what's happened. Melrose have picked up 17 points last weekend at the Kelso Sevens and also at the Earlston Sevens. They're now on 42. Gala not far behind as well, 38 for them. And then it's the also-rans really. Selkirk 27, Jed Forest 18, Herriot 16, Peebles 15, Watsonians and Accies on 11. Hawick at the bottom with 7 points, but it's all about the top 3.
It is the top 3 are the only 3 that can pick up the spoils now, and Kelso are still very much in the driving seat. But if Kelso beat Heriots in their first round tie at Selkirk and Melrose see if Edinburgh Accies, they'll play each other in the quarter final effectively, and who wins that, if that's how it pans out, will it'll have a big bearing on who lifts the King's title at the end of the day. If Kelso beat Melrose tomorrow, then you'd have to five. That's how it pans out. But if they get through and Kelso beat them, then it's very, very much Kelso's title to lose as far as the Kings of the Sevens are concerned. I believe Melrose possibly could be a wee bit under strength tomorrow. I've heard some players have other commitments, and there's a couple of injuries in there as well. So we'll see what kind of squad they turn out.
Well, the thought of the likes of DJ Innes and Forbes and a few other characters putting on the gold jersey of Curry and getting down at Selkirk tomorrow is mouth-watering. But if that doesn't happen and Gala do manage to get through, then, and of course, Musselburgh, a bit of an unknown quantity in terms of the Kings of the Seventh Circuit, that will be their first appearance this year. We could see Gala getting through very much deep in the competition, knowing also that we're going to lose a Kelso or a Melrose at some point. We could actually be going into the Jed Sevens pretty much neck and neck.
Yeah, 3-horse race at the top. That would certainly, it would make for a good final weekend. Gala, like I say, Gala have been great in recent weeks. They've they've really put everything into it. But it's a tough draw. But as you say, if they can overcome Curry, but Curry, let's not forget, Curry were reasonable with, not their first choice 7 by any stretch of the imagination at this year's Melrose tournament.
Yeah.
And it's only 13 months since they got to the semi-final of the previous Melrose tournament. Let's not forget, with the likes of Charlie Brett, etc. So yeah, it depends on which personnel turn up for Curry, but yeah, it's all happening in that bottom half.
And the last 3 competitions on the circuit, it's knockouts.
Knockout, yeah. I get the arguments for and against knockouts, and I get the arguments for and against pools. As a consumer, I prefer an old school knockout tournament, but you need 16 teams for a knockout tournament, and a pool format, you only need 12, plus pools give every team a couple of games. So, but yeah, I do think it just adds to the excitement a wee bit when it's a knockout tournament. We start to get the business end of the Kings of the Sevens, and we're sitting here talking about if that happens, if they beat them, and if they beat these, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I do like to see a knockout tournament, particularly towards the business end of the Kings.
Weather going to be unpredictable as well. I know that we were looking at heavy rain and thunder and lightning and God knows what else last weekend at Earlston. Dry as a bone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dry as a bone. Now this week it's the opposite. I've been seeing 21 degrees, wall-to-wall sunshine, and now I just look at my app and blame the BBC for this if it's wrong, but thunder and lightning at the start of this tournament at Selkirk, and rain from there on.
Oh well, we'll have to wait and see and pack our rucksacks accordingly. But yeah, well, if it is, if there's rain, then that always changes the complexion of a sevens tournament. If the rain starts to fall and the rain is persistent, then if I'm a bookie and I've got a board up, I'm starting to slash the odds on Gala.
So do join us anyway, because rain or shine, we will be there on Rugby Radio at rugbyradio.co.uk. We'll be on air from 3 o'clock right through to the end, and we're looking forward to it very much. Always well organised, great fun to cover. But for now, from Robin and me, bye-bye for now.